You think you've got rights. You watch enough TV to know the line, you have the right to an attorney. You have the right to remain silent. But what if I told you those rights come with an invisible countdown? A countdown police know about. They use it and they weaponize it. Because after the time runs out, the law gives them the green light to do the one thing you thought was illegal: start interrogating you again. In this video, I'm breaking down this trap cops are using to get around your rights and what you can do to protect yourself and stop cops if they come knocking. Let's start off by breaking this down in plain English. If you are in police custody and police are questioning you, and you tell the officer very clearly, I want a lawyer, I exercise my right to counsel, they have to stop questioning you. That's because of a rule that came from a U.S. Supreme Court case of Edwards versus Arizona. The problem? In 2010, the court created a loophole that frankly changed everything. Welcome to Maryland versus Schatzer. In this extremely important case, it created this loophole known as the 14-day rule. It basically says this: if police detained you, then questioned you, but then let you go, even for a little while, the police can come right back after 14 days and start interrogating you again. You say, wait a minute, I've already invoked my right to counsel. I've already exercised my Miranda rights, my right to remain silent. It's strange, isn't it? It's kind of like your Miranda rights and your right to counsel come with an expiration date. This is where most people, even smart people, get blindsided. Because most people think when they say, I want a lawyer, they think that the protection given to us by the United States Constitution would stick. But the 14-day rule quietly erases it. You think you're walking around with a constitutional shield protecting you from those same police officers or detectives. But unfortunately, the clock is ticking. And when the time runs out, your shield of constitutional protection, it literally goes away. And don't count on the police reminding you. It's not like they're going to come back to you and say, oh, by the way, don't forget your constitutional rights you had back then, they no longer apply right now. They will absolutely not tell you. Instead, cops will come right back to your front door, knock on the front door, and try to start talking to you again, detain you, and if they can do it, they'll try to slip right by your rights. So let's paint the picture. Cops approach you, they start to talk to you and tell you that you're detained and that you are not free to go. You know your rights, so you immediately say, officer, I exercise my right to remain silent, and quite frankly, I want a lawyer. This stops them dead in their tracks, so they turn around, talk for a moment, and then they release you. You then go about your business. You go back home, you go back to work. 2 weeks goes by and you think this entire ordeal is over with the police. And then on day 15, they show up at your front door, knock on your door, and they're very kind to you. They'll just say, we just needed to clean up a few things from our last conversation. You're caught off guard, no lawyer, no preparation. Maybe you even think that your constitutional rights still have you protected when you said you wanted a lawyer. So you let the cops keep going. Next thing you know, cops have you detained. They're asking you a question and they're already setting the trap. The police waited strategically until day 15, legally, because the Supreme Court said they could. And if you start talking, even just a little bit, everything you say can be used against you because what you claimed as your rights 14 days earlier no longer applies. This brings us to the case of State versus Edler. Here's an example where cops actually put this trap into action. In this case, we find a teenager by the name of Edler. He was 17 years old and he was being questioned about a possible arson. As soon as the interview began, Edler was smart. He said, hey, can my attorney be present for this meeting? I really don't feel comfortable. Cops realized they couldn't talk to him at that point, so they had to release him on bail. 19 days later, they remembered this 14-day trap rule and they turned around and rearrested Edler and they began to question him again. Edler knew he had already asked for a lawyer and he was confused about what was going on. But even though he had asked for a lawyer, there was one thing that Edler did that was smart that saved him. He re-invoked his rights right there in the police car. Even though he was confused and he thought the cops couldn't start talking to him again, he immediately, when he got in the car, he said, officers, can I have my attorney present? I don't feel comfortable. I thought I had a constitutional right here. I really want my lawyer present. If Edler hadn't spoken up and re-invoked his rights, the cops could have used everything. And most people don't know they should do that. This is the trap laid by the 14-day rule. Now, let's go back to Michael Schatzer, the guy whose case started all of this. His case was unique because he was already in prison serving time for a crime when police decided to show up and talk to him about new allegations.
Did you know that right now, your personal information, your address, your phone number, even your property details are being bought and sold online by companies known as data brokers? That's right, anyone, including government, corporations, even shady characters can access your private details. And recently, the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau ended a rule designed to shield Americans from exactly this type of activity by data brokers. If you're like me, you find that deeply unsettling. That's exactly why I personally trust and recommend Delete Me. Delete Me actively removes your personal information from hundreds of data broker sites, helping you protect your privacy and reducing the risk of harassment, identity theft, and intrusive snooping. I signed up and within days, Delete Me identified and removed my personal information from dozens of sites. In fact, up to over 100 pieces of information so far. It's reassuring to me to know they're continually monitoring and protecting my privacy all year round, especially now that privacy regulations have weakened. Don't let data brokers put your privacy or your family's safety at risk. Join me in taking back control of your information. Go to joindeleteme.com/Hampton and use promo code Hampton to enjoy 20% off your plan. Protect yourself today. That's joindeleteme.com/Hampton. Thanks again, Delete Me, for sponsoring this video. Click the link in the description below to get your data removed and reclaim your privacy with 20% off. He immediately spoke up and said, I want a lawyer. The moment he exercised his right to counsel, the interview stopped. But the cops then waited. They were patient. They waited 3 years, and then they showed back up again to start the interrogation. The cops came back, they tried new techniques, and this time they were able to convince Schatzer to waive his rights and start talking. Later, he argued to the court, hold on, I had already invoked my right to counsel years ago, and I'm not exactly free to leave. I'm stuck in general population. I'm in prison. I'm still in custody. But the court said no chance. The moment you went from an interview cell back to general population, you were now considered out of custody. So the clock reset, and now the cops could come back and reinterrogate you time and time again. Now, maybe this is the first time you've heard about this 14-day loophole. And if that's the case, you're not alone. But I want to encourage you to continue to listen here because I'm about to walk you through exactly what you need to know in order to stop the cops from using this 14-day rule against you and how to protect yourself if you've done nothing wrong and now the cops want to come back and re-engage and re-interview over and over again. Think of your right to counsel like a guard dog. When you first invoke your right to counsel and you say, I want a lawyer, your guard dog is awake, it's growling, and it's keeping the cops away. But over time, specifically 14 days, the law says that the guard dog of your constitutional rights actually falls asleep. And unless you wake it back up by reasserting your rights and not falling for the cops' trap, they can slip right by the guard dog and you lose the constitutional protection you thought you had. Never assume the dog's still on duty. You must call that constitutional guard dog back to life in order to protect yourself from the police. Now, here's where you have to be careful because there's strategic policing involved. Cops know what these rules are, and many times they can be used very deliberately to sneak right around your rights. Cops not only know this rule, it's taught in training, and it's known by many police officers as the 2-week wait. Cops know you ask for a lawyer, no problem, we're gonna let you go. But then they're gonna wait 2 weeks. This time, it'll be different cops, friendlier faces, they'll use a different technique, maybe a different strategy, maybe they'll bring up a different name, and now they think they're going to be able to get around your rights and convince you to be able to open your mouth and get whatever they can to use against you. They're banking on your complacency. They are taught that time can lead to you softening your resistance to their questions. The police know that the court has given them a green light to keep questioning you, to keep coming back over and over again. And if a new tactic works, they know anything you say will stick. So here's what's really at stake. If you don't know this rule and you don't play the rule right, the cops will play you. If you forget the timeline, you're handing over your power and your constitutional rights. If you speak on day 15, you can't rewind and reclaim your rights, and everything you say, it's going to be used against you. Your freedom, your job, your future, all because you thought saying, I want a lawyer one time would be enough, and it's not.
After looking at this crazy loophole, it begs the question, why 14 days? Why not 7 or 30? According to the US Supreme Court, it's long enough for you to get back to your normal life. Enough time for you to talk to friends, maybe shake off the pressure of police custody, maybe even talk to a lawyer. But let's be real, the clock really isn't about you. It's about giving cops another crack at coming in and possibly interrogating you with legal cover. The Supreme Court claimed it was a compromise. It was a line drawn for clarity, but unfortunately, it doesn't provide you much clarity or protection if you've never heard about it. So what do you do now? How do you specifically protect yourself if cops try to pull this trick to trap you? Number one, always be very clear and very direct with the cops. Look right at the officer. If you're being detained and they start questioning you, you need to say, I exercise my right to a lawyer. I will not answer any other questions unless my lawyer is present. Number two, say nothing else. Even small talk can be twisted and manipulated into what the officer might believe is some type of information or confession that can be used in court. Number three, if the cops were really looking like they wanted to talk to you and you exercised your rights and they let you go, remember, it's probably too good to be true. Start counting today. Literally, mark your calendar, count out 14 days, and don't be surprised if cops come back soon afterwards in order to try it with maybe a different cop, maybe a different technique. And now they're going to try to see if they can convince you or trick you into talking. Number four, on day 15, be ready. Treat this entire situation with the police, if they come back to your house, treat it as a fresh new interrogation. Literally, the past doesn't even count. If cops walk up and they try to detain you and start talking to you, once again, re-invoke your right to counsel, exercise your right to remain silent, and keep it quiet. Number five, never assume your silence is understood by the police. Listen, in order to exercise your right to remain silent, you have to actually say the words. I know, it's a crazy ruling the Supreme Court in Burgess versus Tompkins. You must actually say, I exercise my right to remain silent. Never believe that the cops understood you had no intention of speaking and you wanted to exercise your rights. You must actually assert those rights, and if possible, record the entire interaction, either with your phone, could also get a copy of the police body camera. I don't like trusting police body cameras. I would rather have a copy of it on my own, have my cameras at my house, have my camera in my car, just to make sure you're protected and it's very clear you asserted your rights. And finally, number six, perhaps one of the best reasons to get a real lawyer involved. This whole 14-day rule mess doesn't apply anymore the moment you exercise your right to counsel. And once you actually have a lawyer, all future communication is required under the Sixth Amendment for the police to go through your lawyer, and they can't do an end around from your counsel. So what do you do now? Just remember this. Your rights don't protect you unless you use them, and you have to keep using them. Because if you don't know about the 14-day trap, the system wins. And once again, the police have another trap, another trick they can use to trap unsuspecting people, innocent people, into conversation that could now lead to innocent people being arrested and put in jail. Now, we just covered the specific trap cops are using here with the 14-day rule, but did you know that there are 5 ways, 5 techniques you can use to outsmart the police when they start talking lies and tricks against you? Check out this next video where I cover 5 ways to outsmart the police if they come to your door. See you over there.